Yo, welcome back to another episode of the Fix Sports Podcast. Get your ass back out the camera, goddamn it. Being no, what's going on, folks? We back. The Four Horsemen is back to get it in round two of our breakdown or our tournament, our brackets to see who the greatest college football team of the past 40 years. This is a Fix Sports Podcast coming straight from the South in your ear hole, brought to you by myself, Joseph Ward, Sam Dixie, Javard Grant, and Doc Love right here on the Freedom Train Network at www.freedomtrainradio.com. Hey, remember that the Fix is brought to you by On the Shoulders of Giants. And that On the Shoulders of Giants brings you African history at your fingertips and on the go. Our stories from our perspective right at your fingertips. All you got to do is visit the website at www.ontheshoulders1.com to see how African history is given to you through the book series, the blog, the online course, which is available on the website at www.ontheshoulders1.com, the app, which is available on the website, the nonprofit organization, as well as virtual educational sessions. You get all that. All you got to do is visit the website, www.ontheshoulders1.com. Our stories from our perspective right at your fingertips. All right, so we back in this building. We got some good stuff to cover today. We got two great matchups. Last time we had two great matchups. Still the same. We're in our final four. I mean, we're in our Elite Eight. We're in the second half of our Elite Eight, or our whatever other word that can go with the eight. Damn it, you plug it in. But that's what we at right now. So we got 2013 Florida State versus 2018 Clemson, and 2009 Alabama versus 2004 USC. And you already know, before we get to it, we got an HBCU. Well, today we got HBCU news, and we also got to end it off with our weekly rant. So our HBCU news is, we got two parts in both the news and the rant. So first part of HBCU news is FAMU, Florida A&M University football head coach Willie Simmons. He's deciding to stay at the FAMUs. And I'm just leave it at that, give you a little cliffhanger. So like, what the fuck did you talk about Willie Simmons trying to stay at the FAMUs? You about to find out. Also, Alcorn State, right? They have the fourth HBCU to drop spring football. So we're going to find out why they're dropping spring football. Probably because that Rona. Maybe because that Rona, but we're going to read more into that. HBCU spotlight. So we got two parts of the same thing. So Deshaun Watson is trying to get the hell up out of Houston because Houston about that bull, right? But then you got people like Brett Favre. They got something to say about it. And Brett Favre, out of all the people, got something to say about what Deshaun Watson doing and how he doing it. And then you got old lad Dick Vermell, who got something to say about Deshaun Watson. And two old white men who decided to inject their opinions in on this man's life and his career and what he got going on trying to get up out of Houston. So we're gonna talk about those things, but we got to start this thing off right with that HBCU spotlight. That shit. Got to get on down that bayou. But that bayou ain't real today because we coming to Tallahassee on the highest of 7 hills right there for Pasco Street. Somebody granddaddy stay back up in there. You can go get you some. I ain't gonna say that about FAMU, but welcome to the hill. All right. So if you don't know, if you've been under a rock or you just don't mess with black college football, something wrong with you anyway. But FAMU head coach Willie Simmons, from a lot of the headlines and a lot of stories that I read throughout the week, was offered a job at South Carolina. And my first thought was like, Willie can't do that right now. But I ain't trying to tell that man how to get his money. But I was just thinking about the overall thing for black college football. But let me read. So it says, it looked like South Carolina will have to look elsewhere besides Willie Simmons to find his next running back coach. Florida A&M students, alumni, fans can breathe a sigh of relief when it comes to Simmons, as he says he's staying put in Tallahassee. Good. Reports from the Rattler Nation blog surfaced on Saturday night that Simmons has been offered a position as an assistant on Shane Beamer's staff. Simmons was non-committal when HBCU Game Day reached out to him Saturday night, but has reconfirmed his commitment to the program. I am fully committed to the FAMU football program, Simmons said in a statement via FAMU. I came to the highest of 7 hills to produce the excellence that our alumni and fans expect on the field, in the classroom, and in the community. We have unfinished business here. Rattler Nation, I am your head football coach. Now let's refocus on the work at hand and prepare to strike fear in that SWAC and beyond. All right, so Willie Simmons had success in his short stint at FAMU. He had a program to a 9-2 finish in 2019, the best record in the MEAC. FAMU was not named MEAC champion due to postseason penalties from a previous administration. That's right, because they're supposed to come back and be able to be full on this year. So, however, he served as head coach at Prairie View A&M for 3 seasons prior to coming to Tallahassee, which was preceded by a stint as an assistant at Alcorn State. So, did y'all hear about this early in the week that maybe Willie Simmons had a chance to go into South Carolina? Or is this news to y'all?
I heard about it.
Okay. So what was y'all thoughts? Because my initial thought was, okay, black college football got a lot of momentum right now. A lot of momentum. And Willie Simmons is an important part of that. Yes, Deion Sanders is the headliner, but Willie Simmons, being that he's at FAMU and the success that FAMU has had coming into the SWAC and the reputation of FAMU, and FAMU is good right now, so we got potential rivalries, new rivalries brewing. My thoughts was Willie Simmons is I think a lot more critical to the long-term success and the notoriety of the black college football, even the SWAC, than a lot of people may realize. Bringing in a good football team into this conference, and especially if FAMU is actually good. So you got FAMU who's good, you got Jackson State who's good. Let's say you got Alcorn State, you got Southern, you got Grambling, you got BCU. If all these, of course, everybody can't win, but if all of them are good and competitive, that's great for black college football. And if we see people going to the next level, so those were my thoughts. But Javard, I'll start with you. Like, what was your thoughts when you heard about Willie Simmons potentially going to South Carolina?
I originally thought that he was getting like the offensive coordinator position, but when it turned out to be just a position coach position, you know, if that administration doesn't get South Carolina turned around, you know, it could potentially be a backwards move for his career.
Right.
But being a head coach of, you know, a program like FAMU that does have some historical notoriety, you know, if your ultimate goal is to, you know, be a head coach at a D1 school, it just seemed like to me that this would be the best opportunity for him to get to that place.
Right.
Glad to see that he's sticking around, especially since FAMU appears to be turning the corner. New coaching staff and this new venture into the SWAC, so I'm excited about that.
Right. What's your thoughts, Doc?
Mine was kind of like yours, bro, but in terms of like timing, you know what I mean? Like the timing of it all, especially if you're talking about the recruits coming in. We just had signing day.
Yeah.
And if he would have took that position, and, you know, because he got ties to Carolina, he played at Clemson. If he would have took that position, I don't know how many recruits they would have lost. You know what I mean? Because a lot of recruits, they come in based off the coaching. You know what I mean? So the coaches, they get those relationships with the coaching. And for Willie, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I'm sure a lot of recruits coming in because, you know, they have a relationship with him. He's created a relationship. Like, hey, come here, kids. You know, he's going to help them. But if he leaves, all of that changes. Now you got to get to a whole nother coach. You don't know what your, you know, situation is going to be. But I think it was good for him to stay, like you said, for the long term for FAMU, you know, and not just for FAMU, for himself. Like Javard said, like, I mean, running backs coach, yeah, it's at, you know, South Carolina, but bro, that's like a no.
Yeah. I was because I was, it's just me. I was like, bro, that's a downgrade for you. Like, it's because to go, I don't care what nobody say, to go from a head coach at an HBCU, I don't care what level it is, to a position coach at a certain school, in a way, it's a downgrade unless you just like going to like one Alabama or something like that. But still, in most cases, it's a downgrade because you went from running the show to being a subordinate now. So
yeah.
What about you, Sam?
Yeah, I kind of had the same thoughts that you guys were saying. Initially, when I first heard about it, I was like Javard, I was worried because I thought it was the offensive coordinator position, which I could see potentially him leaving for that, to be an offensive coordinator, a coordinator spot
Right.
at a top tier school. But like you said, when I saw it was a position coach, I thought, and then not even like maybe if it had been like quarterbacks coach, but running backs coach, I was like, I don't know about it. I don't know if he's gonna do that. Cause like if you're gonna be a position coach, the quarterbacks coach is the one you want to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Because in this day and age, that's the coach that's gonna get the notoriety. That's probably gonna be looked at to be an offensive coordinator and stuff like that. So, like you said, glad that he stayed because it looks like he's turning things around. So I'm anxious to see, what he can do for the long haul.
Right. Did y'all see FAMU's new facilities? The new weight room and the new locker room?
Nice.
Step the game up. Don't look like Rickers no more.
Yeah,
That's what's up, man. But it's long overdue. And that's one of the things that they did promise Willie before he came in. It's like, we're going to upgrade the facilities. Because remember, when he left Prairie View, they didn't just get a whole facility upgrade. They got a brand new stadium and everything. And a lot of that was due to what he was doing as a coach, because Prairie View was good when he was a coach. So, FAMU, one time. So, the second part of our HBCU news is Alcorn State is the fourth HBCU to drop spring football, because if you don't know, HBCU football the idea was they want to be able to play in the spring, because we was thinking that Americans was going to actually be civil human beings and this COVID crisis not last as long as it is lasting. But since people don't know how to wear their mask and follow COVID protocols, here we are. Right? So Alcorn State, bam, they dropped the spring football. So 2-time defending SWAC champs and 6-time defending East Division winners have reportedly decided to opt out, according to footballscoop.com. If true, Alcorn State becomes the first SWAC program to opt out in the spring. 3 programs currently in the MEAC, Bethune-Cookman, Florida A&M, and North Carolina Central, have elected not to participate in spring football. And we do know for FAMU and Bethune-Cookman because they're transitioning over to the SWAC. That will leave 9 programs in the SWAC, which was the first conference to roll out a spring football schedule. Rumors began circulating over the weekend that Alcorn State might decide not to play this spring. HBCU Game Day reached out to ASU athletic director Derek Horn over the weekend to ask if he had made a decision to pull out. I'm sorry.
Joe, if you didn't laugh, we would have kept rolling right there.
I couldn't help it. My bad. All right, so and scene. Let's say, as with everyone in this environment, we have to look at all options, Horn said, who have made no decisions yet on our spring football. The loss of the Braves would mean we would have to wait for fall 2021 to see Felix Harper, the SWAC's reigning Offensive Player of the Year, and the preseason selection for the spring. Alcorn State will be moving to the SWAC West this fall as Bethune-Cookman and Florida A&M from the MEAC come to the SWAC. So, and this is a quote from the coach. It says, "As long as we keep the young men healthy, it's been my whole issue during the offseason. We haven't participated in any organized camp activities since March 6th. McNair said, "We are behind the 8 ball on that, as we are all, as are all the other SWAC schools, I'm quite sure." So the main thing I'm thinking about this is overall safety with this coronavirus. So start with you, Doc. When you hear like over and over and over about schools postponing games, postponing whole seasons and things due to coronavirus, what are your thoughts on just overall trying to just play football during this pandemic for some of these programs, especially on this HBCU level?
I'll speak to like what I imagine the players are going through, right? Like, I mean, every day they're getting a day older, you know what I'm saying, and not being able to play football. And being able to play football, I know a lot of them have aspirations to go to the next level, but because of the circumstances, you can't play. So
Right.
for them, it's extremely frustrating. And you know what I'm saying? As the school saying they're not participating in any like group activities, you know what I'm saying? So like being behind the 8 ball, I mean, you're going to be behind the 8 ball because I mean to be able to get your team together and start to mesh as a unit. I mean, that's a big thing for a lot of for a football program. So overall, you know what I'm saying? It's got to be frustrating for the program and for what I mean, like even for the fans. But in the grand scheme of it all, you'd rather be safe than put yourself in the position where it's like, oh, we're just trying to play football.
Yeah.
Right? In the end, you get sick and worst come to worst, you take that, you die. You know what I'm saying? Was it worth it? You know what I'm saying? So, and none of that is worth it. But I mean, it's frustrating, but I understand it 100%.
Right. All right. So, well, let me ask from this perspective, Sam. If you were an athlete in this perspective, say you were a perennial starter, like going to your junior season, you played in some games last year, made some noise, perennial starter, you're coming in, this is your year to get on the field. And until last week, spring football is happening. Now you hear spring football isn't happening. So if you were a player in this position, what do you think some of your thoughts would be about spring football being postponed?
Like Doc said, I mean, just the frustration. I can imagine a lot of frustration, because like say you're a top classman, a junior or senior, or likely for age, on this level, you probably talking about seniors. Not going to be a lot of guys leaving early, but say you're a senior, right? You're already thinking about, okay, we playing this season. That's gonna put us, when we finish this season, that's gonna put us right up until when the draft stuff happens.
Yeah.
So you're getting ready for that, and then all of a sudden it's not. But then now you got to make this. You got to make a quick decision, because I'm assuming it's the spring season. It's 21, but it's technically for 20. So I'm pretty sure that they can come back. So if you're a senior, you might look at, okay, do I come back next season to try to get some more film on, or do I just, okay, now don't got spring, go ahead and start, throwing my hat in the ring for the draft, whether it be like, drafting in the late rounds or being undrafted and seeing where I can go. But overall, it's just to be frustrating, to try to make, because now, like you said, you're gonna have to make, probably in a short amount of time, a really tough decision.
Right. So, Javard, if you was a coach in this position, or just what are your thoughts on how do you think? How you think coaches thinking during this period, because you got this postponement. You want to do your best to get your guys in the best position, but you can't help with this Rona. So what do you think is going through coaches' minds?
I mean, it's just as tough for the coaches as with the players, because with the coaches, this is their livelihood. And, especially some of the newer coaches to the conferences, where they're trying to get their plans in place. They're trying to get all their recruiting done, trying to, sustain their coaching staff and sustain whatever momentum they had coming into the fall of last year. And so you already lost all that time, and because I'm assuming that they canceled all the practice throughout the fall as well. So you lost, a whole semester, or two if you count the summer semesters, and so you already moved into the January and February of this year, thinking that you're going to be able to play this season and be able to, get ready, get your recruiting classes in the next year, and so you don't even have that opportunity to evaluate, what you have this year, that you won't know who will potentially come back next year and who might, take that risk of leaving. So they're caught in a difficult position as well.
Yeah. It's tough out here, but that's why I'm kind of frustrated with people and their behavior or lack of care with Corona, because it's like, this is how I feel about this, but I want all this other stuff to happen at the same time. And it's like, well, for one to happen, we need something else to happen over here. Like, all this stuff can't keep happening because we're not creating safe environments. Like, one example, like they had a City Girls concert here like last weekend or something, and it was like jam packed. And it's like, this is the latest jam packed concert that they had at this location. And it's like, okay, so at what point do we say, all right, that's not safe? We want to make sure we keep as many people safe, because there's been a rise in cases at FAMU and FSU. So at what point do we do something different to make sure we safe? So, but hey, man. Anywho, that's our HBCU spotlight. So shout out to Mr. Willie Simmons for staying at FAMU, and we hope things get worked out for Alcorn State. I'm going to say Alabama. Alcorn State. Well, everything get worked out with them. Because I'm looking forward to this SWAC football. It's really going to be going down. So, all right, let's go make our transition into these.